Good morning, my dear students. So today we are going to do a wonderful poem. The poem number 2 in our textbook, that is On Children. The poem is wonderful for many reasons, for the sake of the poet, for the sake of the poem, for the influence it has on the poetic world, especially in the Arabian countries. Gibran and his name pronounced and written differently. We take what is there in our textbook. Khalil Gibran. He is born in Lebanon, but he had his education in America and in Paris. He died in America at the age of 48. During his lifetime, his contribution to poetry, painting, short story, philosophy, religion, all something unmatched. Born as a very poor boy, his mother couldn't make both ends meet in Lebanon, so they migrated to America, Boston. There, his talents were recognized by a few teachers, especially 2 women without whom there wouldn't have been the Gibran that we know today. First of the 2 ladies is Josephine Preston Peabody, headmistress of a girls' school in Boston, and casually she comes into contact with this young boy at an exhibition, and she identifies the talent in the boy, and they developed extreme intimacy that breached almost all the levels of decency, and Josephine guided Gibran to continue as a friend, nothing more. So their friendship. And the lady was amazed at the extraordinary talents of this boy in various aspects. And he called him my little prophet, the title that went deep into his heart. And he called her his muse. Muse is the goddess that inspires poetry. And to honor the lady, he gave the name to his most famous book, Prophet, a collection of 26 poems that he published in 1923 that made him the Gibran. He also comes into contact with another wonderful lady, equally talented as the Peabody. Her name Mary Elizabeth Haskell. She was a wonderful lady, extremely beautiful, and was an attraction for Gibran throughout his life. Extremely talented, very large-hearted and generous. Identifying the talent for painting in the boy, she offered to send him to Paris to art school to get the best training available in the world those days. Just imagine a lady, American lady, volunteering to send a Lebanese boy to Paris to get him the best training in art, something wonderful. And this was a relationship. Maybe we won't have many parallels in literature. They loved each other so much. The letters exchanged between them adorned the museum, and crowning pieces of the museum that letters branch off to various areas of human life. But again, Haskell wanted to retain the relationship at the level of friendship. Intimate friendship. Intimate means absolutely intimate. And it is this lady that brought out the Gibran. But for her, Gibran wouldn't have been there as a great literary genius walking on the realm of literature. Today he is the most influential poet in Arabian literature. Worldwide also he is very famous for his theme. He was a philosopher, he was a poet, he was also a painter, short storyteller. He wanted to transform the world. He wanted to make the world a better place for mankind to live. But you know, it is utopian idea that was earlier tried to practice by our famous Percy Shelley, but failed. Beautiful, ineffectual angel beating the luminous wings in void. He was qualified by, I don't like that, critics. Beautiful. Ideas are so beautiful, luminous, but ineffectual because the wings are beating in void. It won't take forward. Gibran also was like that. And now coming to the poem that we have to study, On Children. On Children is taken from the collection he published in 1923 by name The Prophet. And it is this poem that has made him world famous. This poem, just 26 poems. Just 26 poems. And actually it is not poetry, it is a prose verse. Prose poetry. But ideas are sublime. Some people say ideas are so strange. When he speaks on children, how to bring up the children, there are mothers who question his credibility to speak about upbringing of the children because he was a bachelor without a child. Then when people praised him sky high as a wonderful influence in literature, there were many critics who made little of it. What they said, in comparison to the great T.S. Eliot, James Joyce, W.B. Yeats, almost contemporaries, before them they say he doesn't stand comparison. But he became very popular for his theme, for his nude paintings. Americans were thrilled with his ideas and his poetry, and in America 9 million copies were printed. 9 million copies. In America, many schools are named after Gibran. Many children are named after Gibran. That was his popularity there. Now, to conclude his life, these two women, she identified the poetic talent in the boy because she was a poetess. She identified the artistic talents in the boy. She was an artist who sent him on her husband to Paris to get the best training, and that made Gibran what he is today. And this friendship also sustained him. Early when they went to Boston, immediately after reaching Boston, his half-brother, elder to him, for his mother was a widow and his father married her, and the elder brother, half-brother, was from the first marriage. His name was Boutros. Immediately after, he died. Then 3 months later, his mother Camilla died. He couldn't bear the loss. It is this lady who sustained him in all those days of dark night in his life. Now, to make the introduction short, to realize how deep was the intimacy Haskell and Gibran had. When Gibran died at the age of 48, suffering from mainly tuberculosis, he had a death wish. Though he was brought up and America made him famous, his love for the native land ever remained intact. He wanted his dead body to be buried in the native Lebanon. Will the American government take the responsibility of burying a Lebanese man who came or died in America to ship his dead body to Lebanon and bury it there? No one took care, buried there. Haskell comes to know of the last wish, the death wish of Gibran, and to take the body from there, bring it to Lebanon, to bury it properly was hugely expensive. She couldn't manage it by herself, so she gets the support of her younger sister, Mariana Haskell. Both of them collected a huge sum and shipped his dead body from Boston to Lebanon. And to bury it, they purchased a monastery in Lebanon, Sarkis Monastery, and the dead body is buried in the monastery. And today, that Sarkis Monastery is Gibran's museum that has the maximum footfalls in any of the Arabian countries. Very famous. Now, it was not a mere friendship, ready to sacrifice. How much the lady has financially sacrificed to bring this boy up. Now, with this background, how great he was, how strange his ideas were, and how the single book made him very famous, very popular, and one of the best-selling books, one of the best-selling authors, and he is credited to be the third best-selling poets of the world after Shakespeare and Lao Tzu, English and French poets. Now, in this poem, in this collection, all the poems are very important, but we have selected, our PU board has selected one poem by name On Children. And when we study the poem, you children may be very happy to learn the content of the poem. I am sure you won't get it fully. His thoughts are so deep, so sublime, you won't be able to grasp what he says. But you will get the basics of the poem. That is enough for the second PUC, and I will be limiting myself to the basics that you should know. Mainly to be practical, to face the examination quite well. And later, you will learn things by yourself without anyone teaching you. On Children. The title itself is very interesting. On Children. Who is writing the poem On Children? A man who had no child. A man who ever remained a bachelor. A man who had occasionally expressed his desire to marry the ladies he loved, but couldn't materialize for one reason or the other. He is speaking on children. To enjoy the beauty of the poem is so dramatic. The poem is so dramatic. The poem begins, and a woman. You have to suddenly imagine a woman. You have to bring a woman, a mother, before your imagination. What woman? Who held her baby against her bosom. Who held her baby against her bosom. Poets say, this is the most beautiful sight on this earth. A mother holding her baby on her bosom, so tender, so heavenly an experience. What are the feelings the mother has for the baby that she has brought forth to this world? What are her imaginations for this baby? What are the dreams a mother has for a baby? Only mothers can feel. We can only understand. And what mothers feel, no poet would be able to express, because our feelings are always deeper to our thoughts, and our thoughts are deeper to our words. Poet is writing in words the feelings of a mother that he thinks he writes, but it doesn't reach near the mother's feeling. Such a tender feeling, heavenliness on this earth, so selfless love, so sacrificing love. This feeling, no difference whether woman in America, woman in India, China, Pakistan, a mother in the palace, a mother in a hut, all the mothers have the same feeling. Maybe to some extent, this feeling of the mother, our Nightingale, Lata Mangeshkar has brought out to some extent. Chanda hetu, mere suraj hetu, o meri angonga tera hetu. That feelings. My heart was the sun of love, beautifully brought out. This is a feeling every mother has got. Very poor mothers won't be able to express that. And when the mother is holding the baby against the bosom with all his feelings, there comes a prophet. Prophets are very popular in Arabian countries. Prophet by meaning is a teacher, and prophet has got the special power to look into the future of man. Looking at someone, they are credited with the gift of prophecy. Prophecy means speaking for the future. Arabian countries is very popular. Even the founder of Islam, Muhammad Nabi, the prophet. So this poor woman has dreams. The prophet comes and she is so anxious to know. We all have the anxiety to know about the future. Though we don't believe it. When the newspaper comes, all the magazines come, we try to read this week for you. Not that we believe it, like curiosity. And when we write Jataka, that's there. That man's innate desire to know something about the future. The prophet comes, and so innocently the mother is asking the prophet an innocent question. What is the question? Speak to us of children. Speak to us of children. In the context, we have to understand the mother is requesting to speak something about the future of her child. The child she is suckling. And the prophet, unmindful of the sentiments of the woman, giving a curt reply, your child is not your child. She is asking with all anxiety, and the prophet, without any feeling to a mother or to a woman or to a child, just making a philosophical statement, your child is not your child. What is it? Your children are not your children. The mother is shocked. Every mother would be shocked if someone tells her the child at her bosom is not her child. Shocked. Is the child exchanged in the hospital? Not your child. Suppose any of you go home and tell your mother, Amma, I am not your daughter. First mother will dismiss it as something. Suppose the child tells seriously, I am not your daughter. Mother will doubt something went wrong with the daughter. Again when she repeats, mother will ask, who told you this? She will naturally say the teacher and also teacher's name. Don't know what is going to happen later. That sentimentality of the mother for the child is snapped with the sharp edge of the scissors of the prophet. Here begins the poem. Speak something about my child. Mother says, your child is not your child, replies the prophet. We stop the first part here. We'll continue the second part. Thank you.